¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday. Welcome, everybody. Today, we have a few things to go through. I hope everyone's having an awesome weekend. A few things to talk about, yeah? First and foremost, a couple of announcements. Later this month on the 22nd, which is a Thursday, I think. Should be a Thursday. There will be no stream. So there is that. Of course, as it gets closer, I will make a announcement. But yeah. All right, folks, since we have a bit of a limited time, we're going to try to get through as much of this as possible. First, we should probably start with the video. Yella King, how's it going? Thank you so much. Welcome. Let's talk Cornel West. Cornel West. Yeah, hoof. Welcome, Heat. That's gonna be a thing. All right. Well, we definitely have to talk about it. We definitely have to talk about it. All right. So if you guys want to start on that note, that's fine. We can kick things off with that. Cosmic Seeking, how's it going? Welcome. Happy Monday indeed. All right. So we'll start with that story. He's gonna hurt Joe Biden, but only in early primary states. That the thing is that he's seeking the nomination for the People's Party. So there's that. Yeah, as the simulacra just pointed out, he's running for the People's Party, which is yeah. Joe needs to progressive up his platform, actually. Well, yeah, I agree. So I guess we should start with that. You're gonna have to rephrase that, Michael Hasser. I have no idea. You're saying that it won't affect Democrats. So is this good, bad, or ugly? I think it's I think it's disappointing. To be honest, but who knows? It's mostly irrelevant. You think so? You think it won't have much of an impact? I mean, like, I don't know, like, how much sway is this gonna have? Because, like, I do like I do like Dr. West. I do like Dr. West, but we'll see. The back row won't vote in Democrat primary if he's in. Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. But he's not participating in the primary. The People's Party has yet to get a candidate on any ballot in the general election. This could give it to Trump. Do you think it will have that much of an effect? I have no idea. I don't know. Scholar and activist Cornel West announced on Monday today that he's running as a presidential candidate for the People's Party. Have decided to run for Truth and Justice, which takes the form of running for president of the U.S. as a candidate for the People's Party. I entered the quest for truth. Okay, we'll watch the video for that. West is known for his academic activism. He is the former professor of the practice of public philosophy at Harvard University and professor emeritus at Princeton University. He can hurt Joe Biden to help another Democrat in the primary. You think so? But wait, this guy isn't he's not in the primary though. 40K people live in 6 states. What is what determined the presidency? Gotcha. You think he'll have that much swing? In the announcement, West claims that he cares more about voters and their quality of life than other political parties. Okay, so great. Now let's actually listen to what the announcement video is.
In these bleak times, I have decided to run for truth and justice, which takes the form of running for president of the United States as a candidate for the People's Party. I enter into quest for truth. I enter into quest for justice. And the presidency is just one vehicle to pursue that truth and justice, what I've been trying to do all of my life.
Okay. The idea that third parties take away votes is overstated. Most of their votes come from people who would not have voted otherwise. Okay. So, yeah. I think that's I quite frankly, I hope that is the case.
I come from a tradition where I care about you. I care about the quality of your life. I care about whether you have access to a job with a living wage, decent housing, women having control over their bodies, health care for all, de-escalating the destruction of the planet, the destruction of American democracy. Democracy creates disruption. It creates an eruption. It creates an interruption. Wide from below, the energies of everyday people is manifest. And I know there are precious people in your life who you care for. That's why it's important for you to be involved, important for you to participate. We're not talking about hating anybody. We're talking about loving. We're talking about affirming. We're talking about empowering those who have been pushed to the margins because neither political party wants to tell the truth about Wall Street, about Ukraine, about the Pentagon, about big tech. Neo-fascists like Brother Trump or milquetoast neoliberals like Brother Biden. Wow, I'm so happy to make a world-shaking decision. You know what I mean? Well, I know gangsters when I see them. And gangster's not a subjective expression. It's an objective condition. Do we have what it takes? We shall see. But some of us are going to go down fighting, go down swinging with style and a smile, accenting the best in you and trying to tease out the best in me. Let's do it together.
Yeah, I guess like the final question is going to be whether or not how much sway or impact that's actually going to happen. As Simon Lacra pointed out, quite possibly this may not have much of an impact. At the very least, could it be a conversation starter? Yeah, maybe. Could it be a segue into discourse about how tired people are of the system? Yeah. I would vote for him, but he has no chance. I would vote, but I voted for Jesse back in the day. It'd be great if it could catapult us into having a third party, or at least people, or at least let people see that there's other options. Yeah, I mean, it is very 70s. That's Dr. West right there. The jazz. I was gonna vote for Afroman, so West would be a more realistic option. You don't build a party by running for president, though. That's right. The big problem with this whole thing is not that like whether or not Dr. West is running, but I would argue also that the People's Party is the People's Party is not a serious party. The People's Party has done next to nothing to attempt to establish any kind of presence. To establish any kind of presence, I mean, it's just everyone worth a damn left the People's Party a while ago. Wasn't Nina Turner also part of the People's Party for a moment? Did she leave too? It is hard to start a party with no money or no backers. Yeah, but like they're not making much of a splash, right? They're just like what, attempting to barrel in the presidential election. Without even like establishing any candidates on any level. I don't know. What would have been interesting, I think, what would have been interesting is if that's right, you start a party with people locally and together. Yep. What would have been interesting is if he what would have been interesting is if he decided to primary if he decided to primary Biden. Given given the fields, given the candidates, it would have been more interesting if he decided to primary Biden. That's a mistake the Green Party has been making for 20 years, focusing on the presidency instead of building something. Yeah, like, do they even like run senators? Do they even run like representatives? Anything more on the local level? No, right? They don't really. I've never seen a Green Party candidate on my ballot for anything other than presidency. I mean, like, even the Libertarian Party, I think, has more, like, even the Libertarian Party has candidates as, like, senators, or, candidates that run for Senate, I believe. But yeah, the People's Party, yeah, I don't know about that one. So is it good? I don't know. Is it good that Cornel West is running? I don't know if it'll end up mattering. Is it bad? No. I think the mistake is it's going for the People's Party. I think that's where the mistake is. If mass media ignores him, it won't make a difference. Hello, person that seems to have decided to join 18 minutes ago. Just one question. Are you Latino Indian, like from India, or Middle Eastern? I'm whatever you want me to be. Wait a minute. Is the People's Party... Was this the, Rage Against the War Machine? Was this the one with, like, Jimmy Dore? Was this the rally with Jimmy Dore that happened a couple of months ago? Oh boy. Well. What could go wrong? Man, I think honestly, like, wasn't Nina Turner also in the People's Party? Or did she leave? think so. Oh, in 2020? Paula Swearingen? Charu Vartak, welcome. Swearingen ran against Joe Manchin in 2017. Swearingen supports Medicare for all, legalization of cannabis, raising the minimum wage, free public tuition. Yeah, this person's pretty cool. Paula Jean was in that documentary with AOC and Cori Bush back during the 2018 cycle. Gotcha. Yeah, she seems pretty cool. I skimmed Neenan's wiki page. There's no mention of the People's Party. Only the Dems. She identifies as a democratic socialist. Yeah, I didn't see anything either. So I guess that's done. Alrighty. Well, we'll see how that turns out. Whether or not that makes an impact, whether or not that makes an impact is yet to be seen. I know that, like, among progressive circles, surely it's gonna make a splash, but I don't know. I don't know what the full effect of Dr. West's candidacy is going to really be. I mean, I would have rather him announce as a challenge to Joe Biden. That would have been nice. Nicer, but we'll see. All right, we'll have 2 videos, I think. And then we'll finish off a couple of headlines.
This episode, and others like it, are made possible by the generous support of my patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to help support this channel, join the Discord server, and get early access to every video, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/secondthought.
Loneliness.
Loneliness.
American epidemic.
Epidemic of loneliness.
Actually hurts you more than smoking cigarettes.
Debilitating levels of
loneliness is killing me.
Loneliness. If you've watched Bo Burnham's Inside, you've heard about it before, and experts say it's as bad as eating 15 cigarettes a day. But what is loneliness really?
Eating 15 cigarettes a day?
And is it a problem? The answer to both of those questions is yes.
Because loneliness is a problem that has existed behind the shadows for too long. And I came to realize this when I first began my tenure as Surgeon General, and I traveled the country and would talk to people who would tell me that they were lonely, but they wouldn't use that word. They would say things like, I feel I have to carry all these burdens in my life by myself, or I feel if I disappear tomorrow, nobody would care, or I feel invisible.
Don't feel anything.
Right, and it turns out that millions of people struggle with loneliness. So when you dig into the data, what you find is that about 1 in 2 adults in America was reporting levels of loneliness, and these numbers are even greater among kids. But what you also find is that loneliness has serious effects on our mental health and our physical health, raising our risk for depression, anxiety, and suicide, but also increasing our risk of heart disease, stroke, dementia, and premature death.
Loneliness is a massive problem that's only gotten worse. We know this because earlier this year, researchers published this paper. And these are the graphs they came up with. Using a national survey tracking people's habits on random days for 17 years, researchers found that between 2003 and 2020, people started spending a lot more time alone and a lot less time with friends, family, and acquaintances. Like you heard the Surgeon General explain earlier, that's a big deal. It's not like people are a little lonely so they feel sad for a bit and then happy for a bit and it all kind of evens out. We're spending a lot more time alone, which is bad for both our mental and our physical health. Everything from depression to dementia to heart disease gets worse the lonelier we are, and the data shows that's an increasingly large number of us. And while the pandemic brought this into focus and made things even worse, the researchers behind this study stressed that these trends were already there well before COVID started. We've been on this path for a while. So who do we blame? Smart.
We talked a lot about the phone. We talked about the way technology has changed our lives, made us a little more insular, even though we're connected in digital ways.
And technology has utterly transformed how we interact with one another. Now, look, tech can be good or bad. It can help us or hurt us.
Technology has transformed the way we live and work now, where these connections are happening on Zoom.
Yeah, okay. That's true. I think that social media, to a degree, I think that there is something to be said about social media, but I don't think that's everything. We're not we're so not fixing the issue. Doubt it. He'll explain why, I'm sure.
Online.
Phones. Could you stop that? Smartphones. In a lot of the interviews and public addresses you've probably seen about the loneliness epidemic, phones, social media, and technology in general get blamed, taking up a lot of airtime. And don't get me wrong, social media definitely has a bad effect on our mental health. We've known this for a really long time now, and just about every study we've ever done confirms it. For example, a study that came out just this year found that more social media time equals worse mental health. And as a solution, it recommends that, quote, social media users be cautious when interacting with social media features, especially likes, comments, followers, media, and posts, because of their significant effect on mental health. Yes, phone bad. But phone not only thing bad. While social media for sure has a role in this crisis of loneliness, something a lot bigger is either completely absent from or barely glossed over in these interviews. Something that socialists have known contributes to isolation for a long time. And that's alienation.
Ladies, do your husband a favor this year by getting him a unique gift that he will...
What? Do you agree that the previous ad is relevant to you? I'm not answering that question.
For centuries now, socialist thinkers led by the dapper young Marx have anticipated that capitalism would produce the kind of acute loneliness we're experiencing today. And if you've heard about
so ignore people on the internet, isn't that counterproductive? Right, I think that a better way of phrasing it is that you should limit your interaction with social media, not necessarily your interaction with people that you might be close with online. That may be different, but Yeah, it's definitely not. Social media is definitely not 100% good. Definitely there is something to be said about it, but I don't think that's the full picture as he's getting to it. Stranger danger. How's it going, Princess Chi-Chi?
Alienation before, watching these news segments can be a little frustrating. Before we explain what it is, alienation is a structural feature of our capitalist society. It's almost universal, and for the most part, out of our control. That's important, because when these reports downplay it or don't acknowledge it, which is almost always the case, it leads them to conclude that while loneliness affects a lot of people, it's ultimately an individual problem with individual solutions.
And finally, their personal practices. Look, in all of our lives, we can do simple things, like taking 15 minutes a day to reach out to and connect to someone we care about, to make sure that we are giving people our full attention when we're talking to them in conversation and aren't distracted by our phones. And
at the end of the day, as you say, the solutions are on us. It's on people, it's on individuals, on families, on groups of friends to do something. And these relationships do take work, as we're reminded. I feel like I'm in touch with...
Don't get me wrong. Personal practices to improve our isolation and our mental health are good things, and they're not the only thing in the Surgeon General's report or the interview I keep pulling clips from. Both do mention larger scale approaches to this problem, like regulation for tech companies, government investment in community.
Alio with the 11 biddies, thank you so much. Ice cold take, but Romani discrimination in America and generally the world is often ignored subject that there's no intersectionality for us on the left. What do you want about? What are you talking about? I think eliminating discrimination or calling out discrimination against minority groups is kind of like the left's thing to do. What are you talking about? That includes Romani people. Okay. Anywho.
Organizations and improvements to public health infrastructure.
Well, cool. It's been your experience, and that sucks, but that's not, I don't think that's a broad sentiment around the left, because, like, generally speaking, the left, TM, cares about fighting discrimination of minorities. I don't understand.
Structure. It's not all bootstraps and get her dones, but a really large piece of the puzzle is still missing in these reports. There's something else that's to blame for a big chunk of the loneliness we feel that can't be addressed by either individual practices or a little extra funding for community organizations. And that's capitalism, which, especially in its neoliberal variant, produces, thrives on, and actually even demands more individualization and the ever greater atomization of our society. Let me actually explain alienation. You'll see what I mean. On the economic front, capitalism is a commodity production system. That's the engine that keeps things running. Making stuff for the sole purpose of selling it for more than it costs to make. Profit-motivated production. The way this production is organized under capitalism is by class. You have the class of people who own the resources needed to produce commodities, and those who are hired to use these resources for the production of goods.
Pirate Ninja, how's it going? Welcome.
Capitalists and workers, employers and employees. What does this have to do with alienation? It turns out, a lot. In some of his earlier works, Marx identified that the way we organize work and production under our current system alienates us, meaning it creates a separation between us and four things: nature, work, others, and ourselves. Nature, because through the logic of commodity production, it's no longer something we're a part of. It's just this dead resource we extract from to make stuff. Work, because most people work for someone else in order to make something that the other person owns. You work in a Funko Pop factory. Once you're done making that Funko Pop, it's not yours to sell. You sold your labor power, but the product of it belongs to someone else.
Right. Not bad chilling at work. It's hella slow because it's raining. Oh, shoot. It was raining yesterday. It rained pretty hard yesterday.
And then there's alienation from others and ourselves. In the labor market, we are commodities. Almost all of us sell 8 or more hours of our day to somebody else. During that time, we kind of stop being people and become just another resource that yields profit for our employers. That's already not great. Being reduced to this one thing for most of our waking hours, instead of being the complex, interesting human beings with different interests and emotions that we are, sucks. We're expected to just turn that off and compartmentalize while we're on the clock. We're interchangeable in the eyes of capital, and it's why so many people relate to the idea of being just a cog in the machine. That feeling of alienation.
Right, that's literally what it's talking about with that is it euphemism? Cog in a machine, whatever, analogy, whatever you want to call it.
Miserable and isolating. But it doesn't end there. Like, what about all the other cogs? As commodities in a competitive market, we're constantly pitted against one another.
Right, not only are you constantly pitted against one another by capitalists, but also, like, it's incredibly alienating because given the circumstances that we're in right now, both you know, if you have a partner, spouse, significant other, and both of you are working, that's time that you are away from each other. Sometimes one partner may need to work 2 jobs, completely isolating, even though they live in the same house, completely isolating one another. That as an example.
Whether that's for job positions, promotions, or layoffs, there are always fewer jobs than people to fill them. And while you can be friends with your coworkers, in the back of your mind, there's always going to be a little voice that says, if the boss ever wants to fire someone, you'd rather it'd be them than you. Social cohesion is harder to come by in this zero-sum competition that decides if you get to eat this month. Also, when, in spite of the odds, solidarity and compassion do get realized in the workplace, and it takes the form of a union, capitalists are merciless in their efforts to turn workers against one another. Teamwork and collaboration are one thing, but solidarity terrifies them. Of course, real life is less binary than this. We make friends on the job, our boss can be a real-life nice person. But the built-in competitive element of labor under capitalism puts a strain on these relationships, and that's the problem. The way our economy is organized runs against our natural drive and physical need to socialize. It doesn't make it impossible, but it sure as hell doesn't help. And I've been talking for a while now, but we still haven't gotten the full picture yet. Not only does capitalism's reliance on a competitive labor force contribute to us feeling lonely at work, its demand for ever greater exploitation makes work a larger part of a lonelier life. If we go back to that study I used earlier, the one with all the graphs and the trends, this one, there we go. If we go back to this study, one of the main conclusions, literally the first line at the top of the page in this big highlighted box, says, quote, hours worked per week emerged as a structural constraint to social connectedness.
Yes.
In normal words, you work more, you feel lonelier.
Rise and grind.
Right, because if you are being forced to work, you know, for long hours, or if you work a regular job and you have to make ends meet and you take another job on top of that, like, mental health, burnout goes completely up because it's very hard to have personal relationships. The hidden Scotty welcome. It also means that a lot of people consume in a small space and then everywhere else is shit to service this place. Yeah.
All men are created equal. Some just work harder. Now, if you want to be broke for the rest of your life, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want something different in life, you gotta do something different. You gotta go all in.
Your boss will always be trying to make you work more and pay you less. That's one of the main ways they increase their profits. If they do that by increasing your hours without touching your salary, you now have less time to socialize. If they do it by keeping your wage the same but reducing your hours, you now have less money to spend on leisure. Someone with a higher income may be able to pay for someone else to do their chores, while someone earning less has no choice but to stay home and do it themselves. Regardless, in either scenario, what decides how lonely you are is the threat of poverty keeping you at your job, and your boss taking advantage of that to either make you work more or pay you less. They can't afford to care if that makes your life worse. They need to be profitable. And if you're lonely because of that, that is not their concern. And all this is before we even get to the neoliberal part of the equation. You can add neoliberal culture and politics to these economic factors inherent to every iteration of capitalism.
True. Ha, that's a good emote. The line must ever go up. The capitalist management style, philosophy, and actions usually does not help. Right, I mean, it's kind of part of the problem, right? How are you? I'm hanging in there.
Neoliberal culture values things like self-reliance, rugged individualism, disdain for the poor and unfortunate. And of course, neoliberal pundits are constantly hammering on the myth that meritocracy is real, even though you can accurately predict a baby's future salary using only the zip code they're born in, their race, and their gender. And on top of the rhetoric, you can add neoliberal policy. Things like defunding social institutions, like schools, which are then forced to cut their arts and after-school programs. Or defunding public health institutions, where loneliness and other mental health difficulties could be treated. Or deregulating work, so your boss can work you longer. Set aside loneliness for a second and think of mental health more broadly. How many sources of anxiety, stress, suicidality, depression, anger, and misery do you think could be avoided if we used all the empty houses at our disposal to guarantee—
True! Yes, if we actually wanted to focus on like eliminating homelessness, we could. But we're making active choices. Not to. Also, hello, person who has been banned in a couple of accounts. Predicting pay doesn't necessarily invalidate meritocracy at an individual level. What does this mean? I don't give a shit. We're not talking about like could it be possible that someone that works hard makes it? Yeah. But that's the exception, not the rule. Meritocracy in this context, in this scenario, economic system is a meme. Okay? Meritocracy in this scenario where we live right now, and under the system that we live in, is a meme.
People a home, instead of sitting on them until they turned a profit. How much of the mental health puzzle could we solve if millions of people—
It's not just an exception, it applies for anyone who works hard or works smart. Bullshit. Are you saying that there are exceptions or some demographics deserve less? That's probably— yeah, I think we're touching on something. Yeah, that's a good point this time, Alakra. That's a good point. It applies to anyone who works hard or works smart. That's not true at all. That's not true at all. Demographics don't matter. The hard work is what matters. Really? Because some of the lowest paying jobs are some of the hardest working people. Some of the lowest wages are some of the hardest jobs. So how does that fit in? Being able to predict pay based on those demographics would suggest that they do. Yes. So what Second Thought was saying, is basically that yes, systemic racism. That's basically what he's talking about. The products of redlining, zip codes, and whatnot. Was that what you're referencing, the simulacra? By showing initiative and offering value to the company, you will get promotions and such. Bullshit. Predicting pay based on demographics doesn't really affect the person individually. Yeah, you know what? You have no idea. You have like the analysis of a fucking child. You have like the analysis of the real world of a fucking child. that it's based on like fiction. It's based on fiction. Just that meritocracy is a lie. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, meritocracy in the context of this system doesn't work. Okay? You're insulting children. You're right. My bad, I take that one back. I'm just describing the job market. No, you're not. That's the thing. You're not describing the job market. You're literally making up a work of fiction. Do you think that promotions don't exist or something? I never said that. Where can a tradie go from working as a plumber to what? An executive plumber? Exactly. It's such BS. I always tend to be at the best at my job, but usually people look down on it, including higher ups, because it makes everyone else look bad. F off. It's more like who you know and what you can strategically push some people under the bus so you can get ahead. 100%. If you work hard as a plumber, it'll be the things on call fast. Not really. Not really. Not really. Bro, this guy, dude, how old are you? Like, this is like the most like fictional like life that you've somehow concocted in your head of how reality actually tends to be. But whatever. Anyways, like I do work very hard. I do work very hard. In fact, my numbers prove it. I know that because I see my numbers. Where's my fucking promotion? People don't like to hire people who rush people, prefer people who put in 2 extra cents to make sure it's perfect. Yeah, I was watching both of my parents forced into early retirement in the mid-90s as part of a dismantling the system in the Reagan era. Jeez. By working hard, I mean a long time of work consistently every day. That's what I've been doing. So, what the fuck are you talking about? What reality do you live in? This is some like very privileged fictional like a work of fiction that you've concocted in your head. Anyways, you clearly have no idea what you're talking about. First of all, you weren't describing the job market. That's not what the job market is. And second of all, like, none of this is things that happen. You can ask any actual worker in chat will tell you that that's literally not how it works. Promotions don't happen because you work hard, okay? Working hard isn't fiction. What a weird thing to say. I literally never ever said that. Hard work is the best predictor for promotions. Negative. Not at all. It's who you know. Actually, even when applying for jobs, even being the best candidate doesn't guarantee you a job. It's who you know. Okay? It's who you know. You can ask any worker in chat, as more people are telling you, who are actual workers. Thank you. Will tell you. I never said that working hard is a work of fiction. I'm saying your deluded worldview that automatically says working hard equals more promotions or more pay. That's not always the case. In fact, quite often, it's the opposite. I'm not denying that connection doesn't help. Anyways. Yeah, you're just living in reality. You're just living in some other reality. The rest of us that actually live in the real world, that actually have to engage with this system, that actually have to do what we have to do to put food on the table, will tell you otherwise. I can see, well, I've seen quite a few people fail upwards. Yeah. Yep. Some person got promoted while they were there for 5 months, while others have been for years. Yeah, like not even like the most experienced people get promotions either. That means nothing. Your hard work and experience isn't the only thing that they take into consideration. Sometimes it's not even the first, because if you know somebody, then yeah. Not a perfect summary of things, but working hard will always result in better circumstances. That's not always true, though. That's not always true. That's not always true. Our labor doesn't even, first of all, our labor doesn't even match the amount of money we're being paid. But even if, like, some of the hardest working people are the ones who are most shit on. So, like, honestly, it just doesn't make any sense. You can continue to live in this fictional world that you live in, but the rest of us have been telling you it's quite actually the opposite. But whatever. Always promote one level above their effectiveness. Gotcha. The Peter Principle. I didn't know that.
Didn't need to worry where their next meal would come from because we distributed food freely without bureaucratic means testing gumming up the works. How much of a load off someone's mind would it be not needing to worry about getting around when their car breaks down because of a robust system of public transportation? When all of society is geared towards maximum exploitation instead of maximum well-being, of course mental health is going to suffer. Between the material incentives of capitalists that isolate us from nature, work, each other, and ourselves, and neoliberal insistence that we're alone in our personal responsibilities, combined with their policies that force us to be,
I don't think you've ever worked in your life for probably some shitty manager. True! Like, dude, the rest of chat is fucking, like, completely, like, understanding what I'm saying. So, yeah, no need to engage further in that. Clearly, people who live in the real world and face the realities of the real world, such as us, understand this. You know, I'm sorry if I'm not, like, the best at explaining, but I think chat gets it. I think chat understands my point.
It's a miracle we aren't even lonelier.
It's so musty in here.
The solutions are on us.
Fairly simple point. You haven't made any points at all. You're just saying, "Oh, work hard, bro." That'll lead you to no, it doesn't, bro.
It's on people, it's on individuals.
But I forgot to mention another way this capitalist blindness further contributes to our isolation. Since the loneliness epidemic became part of the zeitgeist, employers have started using it as another argument in the long fight to bring workers back to the office after COVID. A bunch of companies, probably including the one where you work, have spent the last few years playing around with this idea that work from home is to blame for all the isolation and loneliness people are feeling. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's all those, like, come back to the office, the culture here's
working hard increases your chances of success. I already told you, and the rest of chat told you, it doesn't. Hello? Hi? Person who works hard. Hello? I'm coding medical surgeries for eye surgeons, over 100 providers. I'm a certified medical coder. People with 4 jobs working, not getting promoted left and right. Yep. This place is not a meritocracy. Yes, thank you. Yes, it's exactly what the simulacra was getting at as well. The bottom line is just to get it done. Yep.
So great statements every HR department is sending out. And I don't fundamentally disagree with their premise.
No, man. I mean, yes, obviously I work hard in my stream, but I'm talking about my job. Can you imagine if you worked half as hard, you would have less success than you do now, right? That's not even guaranteed. What are you talking about? That's not even guaranteed. There are streamers who don't do nearly the amount of in-depth like thought process as to the points that I make, who are much more they have much more success. There are people who literally like play video games on stream and just happen to be lucky that they started on Twitch for you know, what they started on Twitch when it became like a, you know, first, they were there first, and all they did was play video games, who are much more successful, way more successful. I mean, what are you talking about? To say that if I worked half as hard, my stream would be you don't know that. It's pure luck. Sometimes. It's literally pure luck. Clown. No, it's a meritocracy that's so idolized it takes a lot to reform to make the world a meritocracy. Connections far do better. Yep. If hard work equals success, every single mother would be a millionaire. True. Facts. Right. Retail employees work fucking hard. They're all millionaires, right? Yeah, exactly. Jacksepticeye's first success came from a luck of the draw and a PewDiePie shout out. There you go. What? There are people who made success doing like meme videos. Okay.
Execution is laughable, but work from home can be lonely. However, that doesn't mean going to the office is necessarily better, nor is being forced back the solution people want. We want our work to be less isolating, more meaningful. We want more time out of work to socialize. Most people want some amount of flexibility so they can stay at home part-time and go into the office every once in a while. We want to have the power to put our social—
Nah, I'm good. I prefer to stay remote. But that's just me. I prefer to stay remote, period.
Lives and our needs before profit maximization. Most people want the ability to have a say in how policies are decided. But bosses don't want that. They want absolute control.
This is not an employee choice. They don't get to choose their compensation, they don't get to choose their promotion, they don't get to choose to stay home 5 days a week. I want them with other employees at least 3 or 4 days.
We've told people we expect them on May 17th, 1 or 2 days a week. Get used to it, get your head wrapped around it, get your head wrapped around the fact that we may, if we can, the legal issues about requiring vaccines, but by mid-July, 50% will be back in. Obviously,
capitalists think working from home means working less. They already have a ton of surveillance tech on people's computers to police you at home. But of course, that's obviously not as good as putting you in an open space where everyone's eyes are on your screen, guilting you into never taking a break. That's why they're always talking about returning to the office. They don't care about loneliness. They care about their bottom line and power.
Right.
They want to regain the control they lost when you stopped being in their line of sight 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. None of these guys are doing interviews saying, we work our people too hard and research shows that's making them lonely. We should really tone it down. No, they just want to tell you what to do and make sure you do it. Or, you know, they're real estate moguls and they're losing money with all these empty office spaces.
Capitalists are control freaks, true. But haven't people been more efficient at home? I think like efficiency-wise, like they're either the same or more. They're either the same or more. Like efficiency has not been diminished by working from home. In some cases, it has increased. These folks own commercial properties and they're losing money. Get back into the office. Hey, There you go.
Here's the thing. When we don't talk about all this, about how overwork, exploitation, and our disgusting politics of rugged individualism profoundly affect loneliness, we open the door to capitalists and their rhetoric. If we don't talk about work, they will, and they get it exactly backwards. They'll take this loneliness epidemic, this massive detrimental problem to our society, this thing that's making us miserable and literally killing us, and use it as an argument for more time in the office like they're doing us a favor. Don't fall for it. The roots of this problem go far deeper than they will ever acknowledge. And before I cut this video off, I want to reiterate something. If you know or suspect a friend is having a hard time with these feelings of loneliness, please reach out to them. And if you're experiencing loneliness yourself, please reach out to someone in your life, or a medical professional, or someone on the other end of a warm line to talk about it. Even with all this structural pressure around us, there is help available. It works, and you can overcome this. You are allowed to and deserve to feel happy.
Facts. I would say certain jobs do need to be in person, like public service. Yeah, but you know what public service people don't get? Paid well, right? True, no worker gets paid well. That's pretty true. And like the audacity to say that if you just like work harder, you'll get rewarded. Okay, dude, whatever. My employer recently had to downgrade their facilities because it was mostly empty, and our biggest requirement for work from home is a stable internet connection. Yeah, which thankfully, same, honestly, same. You have to have a dedicated place, meaning like a dedicated like office space, room, whatever. And because my job is phone related, it must be quiet. Like it must be quiet, not very outside noises. I think they even asked if I had like a young child or like a really loud pet or something like that. To which no. Like my cat, but my cat doesn't do anything. And my cat doesn't need to be here downstairs all the time. But yeah, and a steady internet connection, which thankfully we have. Like, funny enough, like up here where I am, like we have really good internet. Thankfully, it was perfect. Our internet is pretty spot on. Unless they keep the gears of capitalism moving, then they make bank. Yeah. That's the idea.
We need more connection in our life. And that's how I want people to think about this. Loneliness is not a source of shame. It's like hunger or thirst, a signal that our body sends us when we need something for our survival, and that's social connection.
I mentioned at the beginning of this video that my channel is only possible thanks to my patrons on Patreon. As some of you may remember, I used to make general interest science videos. I didn't particularly enjoy it, but it was easy to get sponsors for that kind of content. When I made the switch to political content, something I actually do enjoy, most of my sponsors bailed. It's understandable, not many brands want to associate with anti-capitalist content, but that means I've had to rely more heavily on the generosity of viewers like you. I've got one reliable sponsor left, and it's a little nerve-wracking not to have much predictable income to count on. If you're able to chip in even $1 a month, I would greatly appreciate your support. As a little show of that appreciation, every patron, regardless of donation amount, gets early access to every video.
Paste. Alright. Sadly, class warfare is not discussed in the US. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's not discussed that much. Napoleon Bonaparte, of course, famous general, very obviously skilled, but did he get hired? No, because the court culture was so bad in France. The only reason he became famous is he happened to be born perfectly when the revolution happened, and they were willing to take him and his hard work was merely just convenient for his success. There you go. Then to come in here and say that, like, all you have to do is just like work hard, bro, and it'll increase your chances of getting a promotion. Lots of people make me anxious. I enjoy the Serenity on one. There you go. When class warfare is discussed, it's framed as workers getting uppity and demanding basic human decency. True. Facts, though.
Insufficient funds. Insufficient funds.
I came across this fantastic new ad, which I think perfectly encapsulates the more recent frightening move towards the privatization of healthcare within Canada. Now, later on, I'll get to just how terrible the American healthcare system is, which for many Americans...
Bro! I found some info on Forbes on a... Yeah, dude. Forbes. Cool. Wait. Of a study suggesting that success predictors increase 9% based on effort. 9%. 9%. Not even cracking double digits? Damn. It's almost like everything what we've been telling you is the case. It's not hard work. Why would I focus on 9% when I can focus on 81% of what would make the success predictors, whatever you're talking about. Whatever.
Watching this is not going to be a surprise to you, but it's
Fucking
a message
clown.
that I think Canadians need to really internalize before it's too late for our healthcare system. So
Work harder, sweaty. A whole 9%. I'm sold. Yeah, dude. Never mind the 81% of other factors, like who you know, luck, whatever, being there at the right time. You crossed your boss at a perfect time when they were like in a good mood. Like, what are you talking about? 9%? Okay, cool.
So this ad was put out by the Ontario Public Service Employees Union. Writing here, our lives are not for profit. That shouldn't be radical to say, but it's the message of our latest campaign, and the government of Ontario needs to hear it. Please share far and wide and take action. And I'll get to their website in a second here and what they break down there as well. Now, before I play this video, you're going to see there's some hyperbole in the ad, clearly, but I think it does perfectly give you the feeling of what private healthcare is, which it clearly does not center the patient. Check this out.
Yeah, I mean, like private healthcare will never center the patient. It can't. Privatized healthcare cannot center the patient. Because it's not interested in healthcare. It's interested in producing quarterly profits for the shareholders. Line must continuously go up, whatever that means. The well-being of the patient is a secondary or bottom tier in comparison to making profit. That's it. Step one to success: be born rich. Correct. Unironically, generational wealth. If your parents are wealthy, you're congratulations.
Want to get your wait time? Upgrade to a Fast Pass. Need a painless procedure? Pick your drug package now.
Jesus. The health of the patient is only a concern if their existence is a source of revenue. True.
up mid-surgery? Top up your anesthesia now. Insufficient funds. Insufficient funds. Insufficient funds. Insufficient funds. Insufficient funds. Insufficient funds.
God dang, what a good ad. It perfectly conveys in a kind of like, you know, sci-fi hyperbolic way of like how private healthcare works, but unironically it is like that. Yeah, it's very Black Mirror, yes, which by the way I love that show. Yes, but it is like that though. it very much is like that, because like there are every day tens of millions of people forgo a doctor's appointment that could have prevented a serious condition later down the road. Tens of millions of people are not able to get that MRI, which is incredibly expensive because they haven't met their deductible or whatever BS. There are so many countless number of people who are counting pills and breaking up pills because they can't afford the medication. So yes, it really is like that. It's insufficient funds. I mean, like, how many people have to on a, you know, routine have enough to meet their deductible, do co-pays, which happens at every visit. So if you have routine visits from different specialists, you have co-pays that you may have to pay. Because you may not just need your general doctor once a year. You may need to see, I don't know, someone for your eyes, an ophthalmologist. You may need to see somebody for your ears. That's another copay. That's what, $75, $50 each time? What about the dentist? Oh, you don't have dental insurance. Damn. Do you see? Jesus. It's incredibly dystopic. In short, an admittedly oversimplified overview of the scientific evidence suggests that luck comes first, followed by talent, then effort. Direct quote from the same Forbes. Damn, dude. Wow. First of all, thank you, the Hidden Scotty, for making the effort to finding the nonsense that this person was trying to peddle. It didn't even say the point. It made our point. What a dishonest fuck. What a dishonest piece of shit. Thank you, the hidden Scotty. Thank you. Amazing. What's a dentist? Jeez. I laugh, but it's so fucking dystopic. So dystopic. They always argue that you want to have your choice of doctor and healthcare, right? My response is not if all the choices suck ass. Just give me public healthcare, please. Yeah, and like not even that's not even true, because like the private insurance companies have networks. They pick your doctors. You have to go in network. If not, it costs a fuck ton of money anyways. Yeah, so that argument just completely falls flat at Conscious Canuck. Like, oh, you have doctor's choice. Doctor's choice? No, the private insurer says where I can and cannot go. I literally have to look up a list of approved doctors. They're the ones who tell me where I can go. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Oh man. Yeah, like I said, the person in oh man, I think this thing is breaking. The little headset, but whatever. It's incredible how this person was able to manufacture this fiction in their head and then still like triple down on it. I can remember when companies paid all premiums and there were no co-pays. Yep. Out-of-network choices cost thousands. Yes. Yes. So you don't have doctor's choice. That's correct. You don't have doctor's choice.
All right. So as I said, I'm going to get to some details around the American healthcare system and just how terrible a for-profit healthcare system is. And I'll also get to some of the information that this website shares. But first here on this ad, I think the reason why I think it resonates so well is because of the atmosphere of it. Private healthcare is incredibly cold. It does not center the patient. Inherently, it does not center the patient.
It can't. David is completely correct. It can't. By definition or inherently. I'm referring you to our specialists in Nome, Alaska. True. Death panels are real. They're called insurance companies. Yes, because they may not cover that. And then what? Then what? Oh, you have to pay out of pocket? Cool. How? Oh, you have to get a loan? Or you have to pay in increments of payments? What's the interest on that? Where are you going to get that loan from? Also, I don't know why you would use Forbes of all things. You could find a straight up academic study, but the issue is academic study would be far less kind to the impact of effort, talent, costs. That is the most kind estimate. Yep. Can I reply to the hidden Scotty or I'll get timed out? No, you'll get banned for being a dishonest fuck. So either like drop it, or just fuck off. It's really that simple. Yeah, either you can drop it or you can just peace out. No, you weren't. So you can either drop it and let's move forward, or you can find another place to troll. Hospitals have credit service kiosks in lobbies now. Jesus. Like, again, that is dystopic. Is that not just like is that not like as dystopic as the ad was purveying? Like insufficient funds. Would you like to take out a loan at like what, 20% interest, whatever? I'm obviously exaggerating, but yes, you can take out credit services. Oh yeah, no, you know what? It's true because hey, I had to do it. You're right. I had to take a credit service. I had to take a credit service for a dental thing. And I think it was a credit card kind of loan thing. At like 20 something, I forget. I'm gonna have to look. But it's it's a nice meme. That's all I can say. But yeah, they literally were like, "Oh, shoot, you don't have almost $2,000? That's perfectly fine." It turns out at the dentist, it's also a bank where, profit comes first, because that's what I think of when I go to the dentist. Is I can get a credit card for my health needs. Oh God, the dystopia. The dystopia. This is a true story, by the way. I actually did need a procedure. I do need a procedure, and it costs about $2,000, and that's with insurance. That's with insurance. It's almost $2,000 with insurance because my job provides dentists, or excuse me, I pay for dentists, for dental insurance, as part of my plan. And yeah, they're like, yeah, it's almost $2,000, but if you don't have that right now, that's okay. You can just get credit, bro. That's so dystopic. It's so dystopic. The point is to help people. Yeah, that's actually the point. I mean, ideally, you'd be a doctor because you want to help people. No for-profit insurance will give us universal healthcare. True. I was harassed at the dentist for $70. Sheesh. Even my regular appointments are like $175. but I have to do it because if not, my teeth are screwed. I have to do it because if not, my teeth are screwed, and with that comes other health problems. So, yeah, no, like, there's no choice there. The upside, it is a business, and sometimes you can haggle. Yeah. How does something cost too large with insurance? That sounds effing apocalyptic. Hi, welcome to the US. Hello. By the way, if it's not with insurance, it would have been like, I think, almost close to $5,000. If it was without insurance, it would be closer to 5. Yes. If I didn't have insurance, it would be closer to 5. Yeah. Yay. I can only get dental work through a sliding scale based on my income. Sheesh. You could always try to get work at a dental school if you have one in your area. I don't think I do. I'll have to check. It's too large because everything dental is custom fit. No, I don't have anything like that would need to be like custom designed, done, molded. If you need to stay overnight at a hospital, you eat through deductible quickly. That's true. That's true. So you have to, God, you have to pay for, you have to pray. You have to pray for a medical emergency that requires hospitalization to go through your deductible to then be able to then have the ability to more likely afford the other stuff. Cool. Hey, very good system, folks. Nice. True, hominem.
It centers profits. That's why it is for-profit healthcare. The whole goal is to make a profit and to ensure those profits grow every year. The complaints, the fear-mongering often around a public system is that, oh, there's rationing. There's rationing in a public healthcare system.
Yeah, what do you think private insurance companies do? They artificially ration services by not covering them or making them so expensive, like putting walls like copays in front of it so people don't use them. What do you think insurance companies do? Dental deductibles is separate from medical deductibles. Yes, they're separate policies. That is correct. Yeah, as I learned, I had to go find all this stuff because I thought that when I had my policy for regular health insurance, I thought that it automatically included dental because that's what I assumed when I got my monthly not monthly, like yearly employee benefits or whatever that you pay for. I thought that was all included, and then I realized no, they're actually separate policies that are run by separate insurance companies. So yeah, I understand. I'm in a medical field. Gotcha. Getting hospitalized is fairly easy in America. Gun, quote unquote, accidents. I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
There's rationing in all healthcare systems because there's not an unlimited amount of doctors, nurses, and hospitals. But the rationing in a public system is based on need, whereas the rationing in a private system is based on wealth.
Right. Who can pay? Correct. People talk about rationing. It's a bad thing as if making sure that everybody has basic necessities can be done without rationing of some sort. True.
If you have no money, you die. In fact, several studies point to around 40,000 people a year die due to a lack of access to healthcare in the U.S. And I'll get to more data in a second on that here. But first, on their website, so because there is this scary move towards more. I've covered it in previous videos in terms of the Ontario government and Doug Ford, the premier, and their recent inroads into a more privatized healthcare system. You can look for those on my channel, or I'll link to some of them below this video in the description box under sources. But that's what this ad is based on, and they make some good points here. So they say for-profit healthcare encourages predatory profit-seeking behavior by private clinics, worsens wait times and the staffing shortages by pulling resources out of the public system, which also goes to why a private public system also is not a good idea, because you're pulling resources away from the public system.
Meet 3 people who took control of their money.
Hey, whoa. Quit trying to shove Chase credit cards in front of me. Don't forget that several states are loosening child labor laws, and there'll be a flood of children who end up in the hospital that work from work injuries. True. And also, to kind of like piggyback off that, I think it was in one state, I can't remember which one, that was particularly egregious by saying that, by making it that these companies also can't be held liable. In other words, they know that because they're having kids work there, they know that the likelihood of accidents are going to increase because, they're fucking kids. So they immediately made sure that in those child labor laws, that they'll also be protected from liability, which is dystopic. Arkansas? Was it Arkansas? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
It's profit funds into shareholder pockets and increases out-of-pocket costs for patients and leads to medical...
Yeah, we went over this article, right? There were several states that that started like loosening child labor laws, and we talked about a few of them. One of them being particularly egregious. Yeah, Iowa too. Yeah, there's several states. There's several states.
Debt. Medical debt is the number one kind of debt that exists in the U.S. is medical debt, whereas it doesn't exist in public systems, in countries where there are public systems. Yet the number one kind of debt in the U.S. is medical debt because of course, how insane that healthcare system is. They also write here, we can't let the Ontario government get away with destroying the public healthcare system. Ontarians rely on, especially when there are clear solutions, like increasing staff and funding in our public healthcare system and recruiting and retaining all classifications of healthcare professionals. So
number one reason for bankruptcy? Yeah, you want to take a guess? I mean, like, even just a quick Google of what, like, the number, like, the top major reasons for bankruptcy, even in, like, Investopedia, okay? Number 2, medical expenses. The first one is loss of income, job loss, but right there is, number 2 is medical expenses. Even, like, in a website like Investopedia. If we go to the American Bankruptcy Institute, the number one cause of bankruptcy for American families are healthcare costs. Yeah. Yeah. This is messed up. Medical expenses and job loss happen simultaneously a lot. True. That's a good point. People talk about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and thriving in the system. They talk about lack of work ethic or hopelessness, or if they're really racist, they'll talk about, quote, culture. Yeah. They never stop to examine how unhinged the phrase pulling yourself up by the bootstraps or what kind of conditions would lead somebody to embrace a sense of hopelessness or culture, as conservatives call it. Yeah, you often quite find that like that thought process fast tracks into like very, very, very far right thinking.
I've gone deeper into the Ontario healthcare system and the various criticisms of what Doug Ford is doing in previous videos, so I'm not going to retread all that information, but they have a good resource here. I'll link to this below as well. But let's just do a little analysis here of the American healthcare system with several sources I have here. So this from The Guardian. They write, a December 2019 poll conducted by Gallup found 25% of Americans say they or a family member have delayed medical treatment for a serious illness due to the costs of care. And an additional 8% report delaying medical treatment for less serious illnesses. A study conducted by the American...
Okay, person with like literally like, I guess a 15-year-old's view of life, the phrase pulling yourself up by the bootstraps is literally impossible. It was meant to be a meme. It was meant to be... It was meant to show that it was impossible. Do you understand? Did you know that? Pulling yourself up by the bootstraps is impossible. It's a metaphor? A metaphor for what? It's a metaphor to describe how impossible it is. You can't pull up yourself by the bootstraps. Your metaphor is basically saying that it's impossible. It's making our argument for us. It's meant to be a satire of people who thought exactly, but you... Oh man. Okay, I have to believe that this is literally just an NPC. No, that's not what it means. It means it's impossible. This is literally an NPC. This has to be an NPC. Just regurgitating like the same boring bullshit like fantasy world that like libertarians live in. That's what this is. That's literally what this is. This is like a libertarian NPC. That's it. Pulling one's self by the bootstraps involves the idea that a person can succeed, but no, it doesn't. It was literally meant to satirize the idea because it's fucking impossible.
Cancer Society in May 2019 found 56% of adults in America report having at least one medical financial hardship, and researchers warned the problem is likely to worsen unless action is taken. And yeah, this was 2019, before the pandemic. So all of the healthcare issues that have come up due to people having had COVID, and of course during the worst of the pandemic, made the entire situation here worse. And I'll get to some of that as well later on in a future tab here. But they also write, Dr. Robin Yebroff, lead author of the American Cancer Society study, said last month's Gallup poll finding that 25% of Americans were delaying care was consistent with...
Okay. That's okay, I have infinite timeouts, true. The phrase, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, originated shortly before the 20th century. It attributed to a late 1800s physics school book that contained the example questions, why cannot a man lift himself by pulling on his bootstraps? Because it's impossible, right? So when it became a colloquial phrase referring to socioeconomic advancement shortly thereafter, it was meant to be sarcastic or to suggest that it was an impossible accomplishment. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it makes no sense. Just FYI, guys, I've been reading several scholarly articles and I haven't seen a single one that says effort and hard work always outweighs luck or makes you more lucky. Yeah, because you won't. You won't find that. I mean, like, this is coming from, like, Mr. 9% from fucking Forbes. Okay? Whatever. This is like a 15-year-old libertarian's worldview that like has been perpetuated for God knows how long since
Numerous
libertarianism
others-
has been a thing. I guess they forget what luck is. No, I don't know. This has to be a troll. This either has to be a troll or like some kind of like 15-year-old libertarian NPC. That's it. Those are the only options.
Studies documenting that many in the U.S. have trouble paying medical bills. Again, this does not exist under public systems. Because why would people delay medical treatment due to cost when there are no direct costs associated? Now, there are other issues, especially in Canada, with the cost of certain prescription medications, and that continues to be a problem. That's even more of a problem in the U.S. when it comes to, I think on average, medication is about 10 times the cost in the U.S. compared to Canada, because we actually bargain down the cost of prescription drugs, whereas the U.S. oftentimes the pharmaceutical companies just set the prices and that's it. Like, just a ridiculous system. How could you be like, oh, well, you know what? Like, it, even under capitalism, like in terms of what people that love capitalism, what they see that the free market, that's gonna bring down the costs and help consumers. Even under their world that doesn't really exist, to have just the cost out there and no one challenge it, be like, yeah, that's the cost of this drug. If you can't afford it, you die.
He's not a troll. He's in my DMs. Oh no. Oh, he's a child. Okay, yeah, definitely. Like there's no other explanation. It's a 15-year-old 15-year-old libertarian's worldview. This is the only explanation. Thank you for confirming that. Jesus. Do you want citations? Oh man, I don't think this I don't, no offense, but I don't think this person can understand or is willing to understand the points being made. Okay? If you want to post like some extra, oh wait, no, I don't have links enabled. I was a libertarian once. I'm glad all of that ended when I hit puberty. Oh man, yeah, like this is something that I see a lot with like, you know, ex libertarians. It's like, yeah, and then I grew up. It's usually how that conversation ends. But yeah. Can some people become successful if they work hard? Yeah. Will most people? No. It's absolutely not. It's not their fault. It's just that they have the system stacked against them. Capitalism. Capitalism isn't always about meritocracy. Not this iteration. Not this.
It's just a ridiculous.
Now the Sackler family switched the location of civil lawsuit at the last minute. A new judge ended up getting a job at one of their lawyers' office after the case was decided, and they would not be held personally. Damn! Nice! Wow, cool. Nice meme. So they get to essentially alleviate themselves from any fucking liability. Any direct liability, throw it all under the company. They're gonna be fine. I mean, their couple billions are gonna be unscathed. Cool, because they happen to have the right connection and probably bribe the judge.
This idea, healthcare is a right. It needs to be a right, because you can't. Anything can happen to you, whether you get cancer, hit by a car, or even just, you know, a normal illness can can trigger an underlying condition and make it worse. Everybody at some point is going to need serious help.
Correct, hominem.
Which is why it makes the most sense that everybody pays into the healthcare system, because at some point we all have to benefit from it. And when you have more resources going into that system, and there is no for-profit motive that is skimming money off the top, then all of that money is going into that healthcare system to help people, as opposed to, you know, executives making billions of dollars off of your illnesses. Also here, this goes to the delaying of care. So this from Gallup: delayed care for serious medical condition due to costs by household income, which also shows you that disproportionately, of course, this hurts lower income people the most, with people making less than 40 grand a year being the most impacted in terms of delaying care due to a serious medical condition or due to the cost. Now, also from Guardian here, despite millions of Americans delaying medical treatment due to cost, the U.S. still spends the most on healthcare of any developed nation in the world, while covering fewer people and achieving worse overall health outcomes. So they pay the most and get the least out of it.
Yeah, it's exactly it. Right there. They pay the most but get the least out of it. Why? Because the purpose is profit. Because their purpose is profit. That's literally the exact equation right there. That's the equation. All things that conservatives complain about communism is literally happening right now under capitalism. Yep. They're trying to wedge their way into the UK too. Sheesh. I love this chat. Thank you. Appreciate it. Chat is pretty cool. Chat is pretty cool.
Unless, of course, you're incredibly wealthy, multi-millionaire, billionaire. Doesn't really matter what the cost is. You're fine. But for most people, that is not the case. So, it's also important to point out that, yes, there can be fantastic healthcare in the US. Fantastic. If you can't afford it. Does that make sense to base an entire healthcare system on it benefiting just the wealthy? There's just no logic to it. They go on to right here, 8.
It's always nice to have
the judges do need to be funnier though. Yeah.
Analysis.
Comedy isn't their strong suit. They always complain about how the left can't meme, but really, comedy isn't something that they can do.
Analysis found the U.S. ranks 24th globally in achieving health goals set by the UN. In 2018, $3.65 trillion was spent on healthcare in the U.S., and these costs are projected to grow at an annual rate of 5.5% over the next decade. And again, this was before the pandemic. So I'm sure it's gotten much worse. Scientific American here writes, a recent study quantified the severity of the impact of the pandemic on Americans who did not have access to health insurance, according to findings published in June 2022 in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences USA. From the pandemic's beginning until mid-March 2022, universal health care could have saved more than 338,000 lives from COVID alone. The U.S. also could have saved $105.6 billion.
That's so sad. That's messed up. Because all their jokes involve punching down. Yep. And that's, they're like all the right wing, anti, what is it? Anti PC culture, whatever the heck they call themselves. They're just assholes. they're just assholes. For the sake of being assholes.
Dollars in healthcare costs associated with hospitalizations from the disease on the top of the estimated $438 billion that could be saved in a non-pandemic year. So a public system, a Medicare for All system, would have not only saved countless more lives, it also would have saved a lot more money. Again, ask yourself, who is benefiting here? Last point from Scientific American. Prior to the pandemic, 28 million American adults were uninsured, and 9 million more lost their insurance as a result of unemployment because of COVID. How crazy is it to have your health care tied to your employer? And I discussed, of course, this.
Yeah, I mean, this is ad nauseum. Of course, having healthcare attached to your employment is super effed up because it's something that they wave over your head. That's that annoying edgy dude that in high school that sort of never grew out of his annoying edgy unfunny humor. Exactly. Actual comedy requires mental and emotional intelligence, which they lack. True. Yeah. We're still beating we're still beating the dead drum, right? We're still beating the dead horse. Yeah, bro. If you practice a musical instrument, you will be more successful at playing it. What the fuck does that have to do with a job? Hi, musician here who has practiced incredibly hard to play guitar and bass. What the fuck does that have to do with the likeliness of you getting a promotion? Compares a musical instrument to a hyper-complicated system of social organization. Nice meme. If your dad is a rock star, you may not have to work quite so hard. True. I wonder. Yeah, he's a child. Yeah, I forget. Yes, you're right. He's a child, folks. And even then, like, me playing an instrument 24/7 doesn't guarantee me success. By the way, me being the best guitarist on the planet doesn't guarantee me success. Okay? I've been a musician for, 15 years? I've been a musician for 15 years. I could be the best guitar player on this planet. It does not guarantee you success. I could play this guitar 5 hours every day. 10 hours every day. I could literally play hundreds of shows. It doesn't mean you'll become successful. It just means you'll be a very good guitar player. That's it. That's not, by the way, that's not a bad thing. That's not without merit. As a musician, respect. But stop. Like, this is delusional. I feel kind of bad we're all just being mean to a libertarian 12-year-old. I mean, like, at the same time, like, you're coming here, right? You're coming here. He thinks this is his stream and wants back in. I'm listening to a child on my DMs. I'm sorry. Having a lot of skills doesn't guarantee you even a chance. Correct. And there's a lot of people who are not as skilled as playing guitar, who make, who make good music. They are good musicians, but they're not like the best guitarist. But they make, a simple song that's catchy and it became popular, and there you go. And sprinkle in a little luck factor, and that's it. Doesn't mean that they are the best guitarist or drummer or whatever. Anyways, all right, I'm done entertaining the logic of a literal child. And that's not to be taken in a condescending manner. I'm saying a literal child, a literal, like, 15-year-old libertarian edgelord, whatever. Yeah, there are millions of good guitar players. Skill is just one aspect. Thank you. That's our point. That's exactly what we've been trying to argue. And as someone just pointed out earlier, this is quoting a study that they found. The Hidden Scotty says the model shows the importance, very frequently underestimated, of lucky events in determining the level of individual success. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, you want to make a music analogy? Elvis, he basically appropriated black music and dozens of other black musicians who are objectively better at than Elvis, whose music Elvis stole, never got recognition or success they deserve, and that's a perfect analogy for capitalism. Damn, there you go. Low key, even though I used to listen to a lot of Led Zeppelin, low key, same. Anyways.
Quite a bit during the pandemic, when there were a lot of Americans that were losing their health insurance because of COVID, because they lost their job. And then what? Then they're screwed. They have to figure it. They have to figure out, where they're going to get their health care. Whether it's through, obviously Obamacare or getting a new job. Like there is this, all of this extra work that is needed, even apart from just how terrible a private healthcare system is. The fact that you have to think about this stuff, that you have to spend time out of your busy day arguing with insurance companies, ensuring you're covered for certain things, that alone is proof that this entire system is complete.
No, the hidden Scotty. The Stairway to Heaven thing is a whole other thing, but I'm talking about just kind of like their heavy blues thing. Yeah, that's all pretty ripped off. The Rolling Stones did pretty much the same. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Ridiculous that you have to spend any time at all. As a Canadian, I do not have to think about health insurance because it's there if I need it. Meaning I don't spend any time at all trying to weigh certain options and, where should I get my health care now? Is this covered? This isn't covered? How can I afford this copay? I don't think about any of that stuff because we don't have that. But who knows? The way things are moving in Canada towards privatization, it's not hyperbole to think that it's possible we may experience that here at some point. Now, just read the quote here. Many Americans feel secure in having good health insurance from their employer, but employer-based insurance can be cut off when it is needed most. Not to mention, when it comes to unions not having to bargain for health care, if you have health care guaranteed to you, then that no longer is a bargaining chip. You get to have that guaranteed to you, and you can now focus your time and effort on other benefits, on wages, as opposed to fighting for just some basic health care. And again, I ask you, who benefits from this system? Health insurance companies make record profits as costs soar in the US. And this is a headline that you could print every single day of the year, because this is how the system works. Executives benefit. Wealthy people, generally, you could argue,
facts,
doesn't really matter to them. I mean, it.
True, homonyms. True.
You could say it benefits them, but it doesn't really. When when your society is sick and poor. That said, it does benefit if you're incredibly greedy. All you care about is your own personal wealth. It benefits health insurance companies, and those are the top of those companies, and everyone else gets screwed.
Yep.
Again, I'll link to that ad below this video and all these other sources as well, under sources on YouTube in the description box. This is a message for both Canadians and Americans, because Canadians have to be aware of where things are going and the need to ensure you have political leaders who are not going to use our healthcare system as a bargaining chip for their corporate buddies, but also a message for Americans to realize, how much longer can you possibly take this terrible healthcare system? There has to be this greater push towards a public healthcare system. And I don't know, it's the way that corporate money owns politics, especially in the US. It's a tough battle, but you have to continue banging the drum, putting this message out there, because otherwise all hope is lost.
Based. Canada's wanting to make their healthcare more like America. Do not recommend. As an American, do not recommend. Beatles would just be some British obscure 60 bands if it wasn't for their luck. They got to hit. For luck, they got to hit the charts in America. True. Yeah, we're stuck. Don't be like us. Michael Moore has an early episode on his podcast Rumble that talks about the PR campaign to convince Americans Medicare for all was bad. Yeah. There's a CEO. That came out after he was done being CEO, which whatever, what a fucking coward. But after he was done being CEO of a health insurance company, he admitted that he knew what they were doing. He knew and admitted what they were doing was wrong, and it was for profit. Let me see. Trevor Borns from YouTube. Doug Ford is destroying healthcare in my province. Sorry to hear that. CEO of Universal Healthcare. Man, I can't remember the guy's name. Talks about the BR committee commits America. Yeah. It might be all related to that, Sharpie Diesel. I'm trying to remember, but I can't. I'm drawing a blank. Doug Ford is destroying healthcare. Sorry to hear that. I got some serious PTSD. Seriously, I got some PTSD from all the medical crap I had to go through, including bankruptcy. Canada does not know nightmare of what it would mean. Yeah, that's messed up. That's messed up. Like, medical debt shouldn't be a thing. Medical debt shouldn't be a thing that are bankrupting. It's number one reason for bankruptcy here. That's freaking embarrassing. And sad and dystopic and angry. Like, you might refuse to sell Beatles disc in America. Just one disc jockey in the US got the disc off. I want to hold your hand, and everyone who listened to it went full on. Jesus. Bro! Okay. So, wasn't Elvis Presley the son of, like, a famous actor? Wasn't he the son of a famous actor? What are you talking about? Whatever. We're talking about nepotism? No, it's just that comment was ridiculous. No, he wasn't an actor? I could have sworn he was. Anywho, the point being is, yeah, dude, theoretically, I could have started singing, playing guitar since I was 6. It still doesn't mean that is going to be the reason or a factor in my success. Again, this point is going to be beaten into the ground. That's right, a child. You're right. Okay, moving on. Supreme Court sides with employer over union in strike case. I don't want this content to load. Can I get this? Okay, thank you. The U.S. Supreme Court issued a decision Thursday siding with an employer that had sued a union for damages after workers went on strike, potentially opening the door for more strike-related lawsuits against unions. Yep. Here we go. In an 8-1 decision, the majority ruled that the federal law does not preempt a lawsuit the employer filed against the union in state court alleging workers had destroyed property with their work stoppage. The Supreme Court ruling strikes down the lower court's decision and keeps alive the employer's lawsuit against the union, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. The dissent came from Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who wrote that the majority eagerly inserted itself into this conflict rather than modestly standing down, and that the ruling threatens to erode the right to strike. Teamsters President Sean O'Brien blasted the ruling in a statement on Thursday. Quote, "Today's shameful ruling is simply one more reminder the American people cannot rely on their government or their courts to protect them." The case was centered on a 2017 dispute between Glacier Northwest, a ready-mix concrete company, and its unionized truck drivers who went on strike. Glacier Northwest accused the union of timing the walkout so that freshly mixed concrete would harden and be ruined, a claim that the union denied. The company filed a lawsuit in Washington State Court, seeking damages from the Teamsters related to the spoiled concrete. Yes, over fucking concrete. It is madness. It is madness. The state Supreme Court had ruled that the worker strike was arguably protected by federal labor law, and therefore the dispute should be handled by the NLRB, a federal agency that referees such conflicts. Glacier Northwest appealed that decision and fought to have its claims against the union heard in state court. In the majority opinion, Justice Amy Coney Barrett, a conservative appointee from President Trump, wrote that the state Supreme Court had made a mistake by blocking the lawsuit. She said the union had failed to take reasonable precautions to make sure the concrete would not harden. Really? Okay. Whatever, dude. Property over people, exactly. In this instance, the union choice to call the strike after its drivers had loaded a large amount of wet concrete into the Glacier's delivery truck strongly suggests that it failed to take reasonable precautions to avoid foreseeable, aggravated, and imminent harm to Glacier's property. Imminent harm? Okay. Because the union endangered the company's property, the federal labor law does not arguably protect its conduct. Charlotte Garden, a labor law professor at University of Minnesota, said the decision could have been worse for unions, but she warned the case could open the door to more strike-related claims from employers. I'd be upset if I paid money to someone money to do a job and then they messed it up. Okay, that's not the same as a union going on strike. You know that your place is unionized, and you refused to make a contract. Sorry. If the concrete hardens in the truck, the trucks would have been ruined. Meh. The court's articulation of when a union must take reasonable precaution to protect the employer's perishable product will mean more lawsuits against striking unions. Some progressive groups said that Thursday that the majority's decision undermines workers' right to strike. It's no coincidence that this move to kneecap workers comes in a year when they have organized in greater and greater numbers to secure safer and more equitable labor conditions. Said Sarah Lipton Lovett, the president of the group Take Back the Court, in a statement, said given a choice between workers and wealthy corporations, the Roberts Court would consistently side with corporate interests. But the decision did not strike all labor supporters as a worst-case scenario, considering the court's 6-3 conservative majority. Mary Kay Henry, president of the Service Employers International Union, said that she was pleased the decision doesn't change labor law and leaves the right to strike intact. I mean, can you imagine if the right to strike was completely done? Can you imagine? Could have been avoided if that one judge had just been retired. True. The company knew about the strike and they tried to schedule the loads during the strike. So, yeah, meh. Oh, of course you would make that comment. All subcontractors now. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, whatever. piece of shit. We shouldn't. Yeah, you're a piece of shit. We shouldn't forget why this case landed in front of the Supreme Court in the first place, because corporations are trying to shut down our right to strike. Correct. I've learned to not employ anybody. Whatever. A man wants to trademark Trump too small for t-shirts. Now the Supreme Court will hear this case. Yeah. Yeah, this is a thing, by the way. This is a good meme article, okay? The Supreme Court said on Monday it will hear a case in which a man tried to trademark a phrase mocking former President Trump as, quote, too small. The Justice Department, yes, this is a case that's being heard by the Supreme Court. The Justice Department is supporting President Biden's once impossible future rival in urging the courts to deny a trademark for the suggestive phrase Trump too small that a California man wants to put on t-shirts. The case will be argued in the fall, and one of two disputes on the court's upcoming agenda that involved Trump or one of his businesses. Government officials said the phrase Trump too small could still be used, just not trademarked because Trump had not consented to its use. But a federal appeals court said refusing trademark registration violated free speech rights. Yeah, I need to make certain commands. I need to do a lot of things. The High Court has considered a raft of Trump... Nico sometimes, yes, Trump too small. The High Court has considered a raft of Trump-related cases in recent years. The justices have dealt with cases about Trump's claim of fraudulent elections, which is bullshit. I think they mean 2020 election, not 2000 election, but whatever. And his efforts to shield his tax records from Congress and to keep other tax records from prosecutors in New York, among other things. That's a good meme. If the justices are tired of Trump-related cases, however, they aren't letting on. Just last month, the higher court agreed to hear a different Trump-related lawsuit stemming from the disputes over what was the Trump International Hotel in Washington. Democratic members of the Oversight Committee sued over the Trump administration's refusal to turn over information about the Trump's organization lease of the hotel. Yeah, you're definitely in the wrong place, buddy. Please hear my side, even though I might not sit happy with you. I'm good. Hard pass. You're definitely in the wrong place. Democratic members of the House Oversight Committee sued over the Trump administration's refusal to turn over information about the Trump's organization's lease of the hotel. The case is the latest case is unusual in that it has Biden administration on Trump's side. The administration is defending the government's official's decision to reject the trademark request from Steve Elster, who tried to register the Trump too small phrase. The phrase is a reference to a memorable exchange Trump had during his 2016 presidential campaign with Florida Senator and GOP presidential rival Marco Rubio. Rubio began the verbal jousting when he told supporters at a rally, "Is this about his fans? Yeah, this is it right here. We're doing it." When he told the supporters at a rally, Trump was always calling him Little Marco, but that Trump, who said he's 6'3", has disproportionately small hands. Have you seen his hands? You know what they say about men with small hands? You can't trust them. Oh man, this was a thing. This happened. Trump then brought the comment back in a televised debate on March of 2016. "Look at those hands. Are they small hands?" You referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. There's no problem. Oh, man. Anyways. Oh, God. Yes. Federal law says a trademark request should be refused if it involves a name, portrait, or signature identifying a particular individual, unless the person has given written consent. But Elster says refusing to register a political slogan criticizing Trump without Trump's consent violates that First Amendment free speech clause. federal laws, lawyers say, make it virtually impossible to register a mark that expresses an opinion about a public figure. That is a self-report to take it that far. Who, Trump? I mean, the whole thing is his whole thing is projection, right? He's a sad, insecure, narcissistic sociopath. It's all right. Probably the press is mixing up. Don't trust someone who's trying to sell you a news feed. So then why are you here? Wait. Why? What part of this is wrong? These are literal quotes that he said. What are you talking about? This is literally a story about a case that's about to be heard in the fall from the Supreme Court. What part of this is wrong? Did you take 5 seconds to like type out your comment and then be like, you know what? Maybe I should think about this before I hit enter. Has that ever like crossed your mind? Has that ever crossed your mind of like maybe just taking 5 seconds to think about the comment before you press enter? Is that like not a thing that you do? I don't understand. It's literally a story about a legal case. What is taken out of context? This is literally a quote. What context is there? We all saw the debates in 2016. What are you talking about? The article is about a legal case. What are you talking about? Again, do you not take like 5 seconds to think about the comment that you're going to post? I mean, you're typing this out, right? Presumably. You're actually typing this out. I don't know what 3 means, but whatever. Alio, thank you for the 11 biddies. We look forward to defending the right to convey core political messages on trademarks, said Elster's lawyer. John Taylor wrote in an email, the government's attempt to burden political speech by granting public figures a monopoly over speech about them in the marketplace is indefensible. Worst chat AI ever. True. Jeez. Taking it out of context. What? Taking what out of context? Those were quotes. Is countering the brainworm sweep what tonight? It's a long discussion. Yeah, I know. All right, we're almost there, folks. We almost made it. We got one more. All right. California Attorney General Rob Bonta believes Florida Governor DeSantis, and current presidential candidate, is repeating his actions from last year when putting migrants on a plane to Martha's Vineyard. Bonta said DeSantis used the same private company and the same vendors to promise the migrants job, remove them from Texas, and send them to New Mexico and drop them in Sacramento with no resources. What a piece of shit, frankly. Super outtake, all the Chud bots are just AI that's been forced to watch Fox News. Oh, man. I don't know if that's a hot take. I think if you force an AI to watch Fox News 24/7, you basically start... It would basically regurgitate the same thing. Abbott has been frequently sending buses of migrants to New York, D.C., and Chicago for over a year. Yikes. Bro, if you're not going to provide anything else other than you get out of context. What's out of context? This didn't happen? You're telling me that this didn't happen? Abbott is another monumental piece of shit. Using fucking human beings for fucking political PR. What selective quote? There isn't a quote here. I haven't even gotten to the quote. God, they're not sending their best, folks. Or maybe they are, and that's kind of sad. Jesus. Community organizations say that they're stepping in to make the migrants feel at home. Oh my God. They quickly realized they were lucky they landed in a big community, in a community that actually cares about their well-being, said Gabby Trejo, executive director of Sacramento Area Congregations Together. Oh, guys, listen, this quote, out of context, okay? Out of context quote. 48 hours after being dropped off at the offices of Diocese of Sacramento, 16 migrants, 4 women, 12 men from Venezuela and Colombia are starting to settle in their new surroundings. The migrants age from 18 to 20. The group's congregation together is organizing help for the group with food, clothing, and housing. The group even bought phones for the migrants. For them to come to Sacramento and experience such generosity has been both a blessing and a huge opportunity to reconnect with their family members back home, to let them know they're safe and feel safe in this community. Like, what a backfire. What a backfire. The same thing with like Martha's Vineyards, where they came out and actually like did their best to try to help them. Yeah. What a fucking L. Trejo said the migrants made it. Yeah, okay, so just to be clear, like if you're gonna come in here and say like, oh, out of context, what is out of context? The story didn't happen. What part of the story didn't happen? The quotes related to the quotes related to the whole like hands thing was a thing everybody saw in the presidential debates in 2016. Anyways. Whatever. Trejo said the migrants made it to El Paso, Texas, where they were processed after months of travel from Venezuela and Colombia. Bonta said they were here, that from here they were taken to New Mexico and then flown to Sacramento on a private jet. Bonta said they carried documents that appeared to be issued by the state of Florida. It's called Voluntary Transportation Program, and they've hired virtual systems the state of Florida has to identify migrants in Texas, not in Florida, and move them to other states. Bonta said his office is conducting both civil and criminal investigations. Good. Honestly, fuck this guy. Like, Ron DeSantis, he's an incredibly, not only is he incredibly dangerous, but he's also, like, a humongous piece of shit. Like, he's actually just a humongous piece of shit. I mean, he's a Republican, so par for the course. But, yeah, he's genuinely, like, really just a genuinely bad person. If you can play a riff on the ukulele, I'll see if I can get to it. If I was randomly picked up and lied to and transported this far away, I would want an investigation to be done. KCRA3 has reached out to Florida governor's office but has not yet heard back. Bonta believes there is a pattern here of moving migrants by promising work that doesn't exist. He said he wants to put an end to that practice. Like, also, wait a minute. Isn't that the same like xenophobic crowd that's like screaming about they're taking the jobs? Well, you're promising, like, supposedly on the pretext that there's going to be jobs. So, and these people want jobs. So, what are you talking about? You can't make the argument that they're taking your jobs, but you're giving them this fake this fake assertion that they're gonna get a job. So you're the one that's giving them the jobs, right? You're the one that's promising this work while simultaneously complaining about they're taking jobs. Whatever. Xenophobic pieces of shit. Trump and DeSantis need to be woke about legal problems. Ha! This is a read the room situation. Yeah, I know. Clearly walked into the wrong place by saying that, like, I hire I don't hire employees. I hire, like, contract workers. Yeah, okay, dude. Yep. Bonta says he believes there's a pattern here of moving migrants by promising work that doesn't exist. He said he wants to put an end to the practice. the Diocese of Sacramento released the following statement, quote, again, I assume this person's going to complain that this quote is out of context. And instead of taking in immigrants, they want child labor. Yep. Within each of the 60 migrants transported from Sacramento on Friday, we recognize the humble presence of Jesus, and we hear his Jesus Christ. We hear his call to stand by them. The urgency to respond was heard by Catholics and people of goodwill. We are thankful to our partner organizations who took up the holy work of hospitality, dedicating their time and resource to ensure that every migrant did not feel alone and abandoned. Anyways, this dude's a humongous piece of shit. Ron DeSantis definitely should be investigated on this. That's a good point. The child labor is largely migrant children. Yeah, Ron DeSantis definitely should be investigated over this. We'll see if anything comes up. Anything comes out of it. I don't know if the Texas person said they were going to investigate or what ended up happening there. I haven't seen any updates if whether or not like the investigation in Texas is going to lead to anything, but we'll see. If only we had an active Justice Department. True. If only. So there's that both Trump and DeSantis from Florida are being investigated. True. Florida man lives to the headline legend, I guess. Alright, so I am being requested to play a riff on the ukulele, so we'll see if I can make it happen. Let me go grab it really quick. 20 minutes and I'm free! Nice. Well, I'll send you off with a riff. Hold on. I'll be right back. So according to the child that was here earlier in chat, how many riffs do you think I'm going to have to make? How many riffs am I going to have to play until I become successful? What do you think, chat? How many chords and riffs am I going to have to play until I become successful? 3 beats a day for 3 summers. Gotcha. Okay. Riff harder, sweaty. True. Or however that Aziz joke goes. Oh, okay. Not familiar, to be honest. Okay, well, we're starting off better than I did last time, that's for sure. It's just play what your heart tells you. True. Walter, what's going on? Aw, I messed it up. It's close. It's close. Maybe if I do it backwards. I feel like something's off. Oh, maybe it was the order that I was playing it in. Now that is a much better, that's a better constructed riff than the first one. There you go. See, found the chords, found the order. We made our riff for today. Enjoy the evening. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. There you go. That's pretty neat. I actually might keep that one. All right, folks. I have to get going. It's dinner time. Thanks for the shout out, of course. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Appreciate it. All right, folks. I got to get going. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you, Walter, for hanging out in the YouTube chat. And thank you so much for your support. You guys are what makes this channel grow. Thank you so much for the biddies. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you for the follows, all that. If you guys enjoy the content, don't forget, we are here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So follow, like, subscribe, all that other stuff. And make sure you spread the word far and wide and bring somebody. Okay, we'll be here 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I am very, very hungry, so I got to get going. Folks, as always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Thank you, Heat, for keeping the peace in the chat. I appreciate it. Later, Pirate Ninja. Appreciate it. All right, folks. Hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.